Hello there, good afternoon or morning, whenever you're watching this. What I hope is going to be a short video. My name's Josh, I'm Racing to Profit, if you didn't know who I was. Um, you'll have seen many emails knocking about, I think, from Matt and various others about Geegeez and Geegeez Gold. I thought it may be useful if I do a very quick video looking at the kind of 4 or 5 things that I look at when using this superb piece of kit. Um, Tomorrow, well, I'm speaking to you on Wednesday. On Thursday, you'll see a few more video emails flying about, no doubt, as Matt has a very special kind of one-time offer for those of you who may want to transform the way that you look at racing and, with any luck, over time, transform your punting and make you even more profitable. But before I do that, and try and kind of bring to life the tools for someone that uses them every day myself. I will just highlight something for all of you, which you can access for free, and I'll put the link below this video. Matt, you'll have seen the free guide that was being given away, Trainer Track Stats 2018-2019. Well, he's now pulled together for free a daily report where you can get all of the qualifiers, as you can see in front of you. And you can read the various different things on that screen. Yeah, they qualify when 10 to 1 or shorter. So you can get the free guide below, but you can also don't need to do any work now. The qualifiers will be posted for free every day, and you can see here that I'm talking to you on Wednesday. I can already click to tomorrow and see what horses are coming up, and I'm doing that at kind of 1 in the afternoon on Wednesday, so that should be useful for all of you. Remember to £20 bets, I think. All of these qualifiers on the 18 won around £5,000, I think, to £20 win bet. So even if you start small, which you should always do, betting £2.50s or £5 with an adequate bank, with any luck, touch wood, they might win kind of £500 to £1,000 this coming jump season, which would be a nice handy uplift for us all, I'm sure. So that's that. The link below to those qualifiers you can get for free. Save it to your bookmarks. You can go there every day and have a look. So job done on that front. Even if you have no interest in what I'm about to say next, that hopefully is useful. Now I'm going to go on to Geegeez and on the race cards and onto Geegeez Gold, which is this kind of plethora of different tools and things that you can get access to. In front of us here, I've just got the race cards, and I'm going to go through kind of 5 areas that you can use as ways in to looking at a horse in more depth, or to analysing a race, and to work out or find your bets. I'm going to look at Instant Expert first of all, trainers in form, pace, and kind of looking at front runners, the report icons, which I'll explain in a moment, and kind of hot form, looking at those horses that have run in races that have worked out very well. That's 4 or 5 areas that you could focus on when using what are, quite frankly, the best set of racing tools in the business. I have personally yet to see better. I am biased because I use them every day, and I would be a bit lost without this piece of kit. It's miles ahead of the Racing Post, of At the Races, of any of these other supposedly industry leading sets of tools. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can kind of watch this video and or then try it out for yourself for the jump season, which I would recommend as many of you as possible to do if you so wish. So I'm looking back here at yesterday and a race at Ayr, using the Instant Expert tab. Now this is definitely industry leading. Is there anything else like this out there? Do tell me if there is, because I haven't seen it. Here in front of you, you can see, and this is what I and many others may have seen before the race, and clearly I'm looking back knowing this said horse has won, which obviously makes it easier, and there will be many examples, a few like this, where that necessarily isn't the case. But as a way in, here at the click of a button, you can look at the race conditions, every runner, as you can see there, the going, of which you can change. So if it rains, if it, let's say it had absolutely teamed it down at Ayr, and you wanted to see if any horse had any form on heavy, there's the win and the place tabs here, so you can see those horses that have placed in all races and in handicaps on heavy, for example. So that's a very good kind of tool in itself. But let's go back to what the actual ground was, which was kind of good. Well, good to soft, soft in places. Let's call it good to soft for now. We've got the class of race there, the distance, field size, and you can look at a horse's form in every race, so that will include non-handicaps, or you can just look in handicaps, and of course you can then just narrow it down to the code you're looking at. So you may just want to look at it at flat, because obviously this might highlight some that have maybe run over jumps and won in the class, or more likely, let's say, the all-weather given this race. You've got all those different things there. Now this is a handicap, so I want to look at the click of a button. Within 30 seconds I can see horses that have been there and done it, who is most suitable to conditions, and hopefully when using this instant expert and this superb piece of kit as a weigh-in, as a way to get a feel for a race, I'm instantly slapped around the face by a horse which has a lot of green, a lot of amber, which is good, in a field with a lot of red. A lot of horses here that have yet to prove they can win over this 7 furlong trip, which is arguably a bit specialist. B Machine does all right there. A load of horses that have yet to actually win in the class. Of course, some may have won at a higher class, and that's where you can select class 5 here. So actually now I can look at all those horses that have won in class 5 and class 6, so that's useful. And of course, the going. So let me just put this back to class 6. So as a weigh-in, immediately I'm looking at Redana, and I hope you're looking at Redana, who's 2 from 2 over the course, 2 from 4 the distance, the class, 1 at the going. So that is a horse I'm immediately interested in. Now he was tipped up in many places. I will admit I got him a bit wrong, because the time I got round to him about 8:30 in the morning, he'd gone to 8 to 1. He was 14 to 1 the night before. He was 10 to 1 for kind of between 6 a.m. and 8. And I made the error of thinking 8 to 1 still wasn't a value price. As we know, it turned out to still be a decent price, but that's by the by, and that isn't the point of me rambling on about this horse. But we've got that as a way in. This horse is the only, well, one of a few only proven in conditions. Everything else in that sense has it to prove. I can look at Redana now as a kind of horse-focused approach, and I want to find reasons now for why he may bounce back and run to that form we've just seen there, and why he may now do well in comparison to some of his recent runs. So I can click on the horse's form for recent, and if I wanted to, I can click on the whole horse, as you can see here, and I can open up his whole record, and then I can dig down in all of these different little bits and pieces here, all these different angles. For example, so we've now got his record here. I want to see him over the course. I want to see him over the distance. He's now a perfect 3 from 3. Of course, looking at this yesterday morning before he ran, he was a perfect 2 from 2 at air, 7 furlongs, good to soft, in class 6. He's worth adding to your trackers, I think, because you would bet your bottom dollar at next season, in 2019, he's going to rock up at air in a 7 furlong races. Mark may need to come down again. He might run in a few class 5s elsewhere, drop back into a class 6, 7 furlongs. So keep him in mind for next season. He's only 4. There could still be more to come. But if I look back, I want to look at why the horse might improve on recent runs. We can see that win there that took him 2 from 2 over course and distance, and how he ran. He then ran at Carlisle over 8 furlongs on good to firm in a class 4. There's no evidence yet that he stays 8 furlongs, and he was probably outclassed, but he still ran okay. He then ran at Hamilton, 8 furlongs good to soft, inexperienced jockey, but again, no evidence yet that he stays 8 furlongs. They then ran him down up in class again, the class 5 in Carlisle, 6 furlongs, which might be too short for him, and in an absolute bog. So he could have been both outclassed there, and he may have absolutely not enjoyed heavy, because there's no evidence yet that he fully handles it, certainly not over 6 furlongs anyway. But again, he ran all right there. And in that whole context of this horse in this race, we should have in mind, which I should have put more emphasis on, the fact that this may have been the target since that last run here. They might have been trying to get him back into this class 6, and he still ran well. But now they drop him in class. What is he doing differently? Why should he suddenly appear back and would be a good bet? Well, he's back to his favourite course and distance. He's back into a class 6, so he's back up in trip, back down in class. Jimmy Sullivan jumped back on of interest for the first time since that win back here. And you can see there all those boxes ticked in the context of this instant expert. We already know that he handles conditions and is proven over many, many others in here that have to prove their stamina, they have to prove their class, they have to prove actually that they like winning, because there's quite a few 3-year-olds in this that as yet hadn't exactly won. There's a few that might have needed the run, many that just kind of appeared a bit out of form. So that's one way in. That's one way. And I've spent kind of 8 minutes talking about that, but that instant expert to go through every race or every handicap or whatever is your race of choice. Let's say handicaps, you could go through every day, the evening before, in no time at all, and just focus on those races that look uncompetitive in terms of the horse's proven in conditions. You can then use that as a way in to take a closer look at the horse and whether or not you think they may run up to those conditions and perform again and go on and win, and then you can obviously judge the odds and everything else. He got up a shade cosily in the end when he got a run, a bit of pace to weigh out and did it well. So that's instant expert. I'm 11 minutes in. I want to try and keep this quick as I can. The next one is trainer form. So I'm on live play here. I'm on to today. I'm on to Wednesday. These horses and this race is yet to be run. The other way in you can use is trainer form, and it's these excellent little green 14 and 30 symbols. You can see there as I hover over. This indicates the trainer's had at least 5 runs in the last 14 days, 20% win, 51% or better win or place. And now I can click down, so that's my way in. I want to focus on a horse that the yard is going well, so I know the yard is in form. That gives me some belief that the horse might actually run well. And we all know the importance or can do of the horse of yards in form. Now, if I click on this trainer form icon, again, where else can you do this? The click of a button. I can look at Ian Williams in the last 14 days, 35 runners, 9 winners, 16 have won or placed. You can see the percentages there. You can see the profit to £1 stakes at SP. You can see the actual versus expected. So they perform 35% above market expectations. That's always a positive. And their impact value, which kind of is a measure against whether or not the horse has just been kind of lucky, and that's what you'd expect. Kind of if it was number 1, that's what you'd expect, all being even. So basically anything above 1 is a very good impact value score and proves that actually most of those wins and the performances aren't just kind of down to luck and down to chance against the kind of mean for everything that runs to similar conditions. So they're just added benefits, but you don't need to focus on those too much. What I am more interested in is the trainer form. So 9 from 35, 16 places. They've generally been outperforming their odds and outperforming chance. So there's not much luck in that. It's actually something worth focusing on. And that's what I want to focus. So then you can look at that as your way in and go through those handicaps and just focus on those horses that the yards are in form. We've got Sylvester Kirk here, 3 from 14, 4 places the last 14 days. They're the only 2 trainers that are in red hot form. That doesn't mean everything else, other trainers in here are out of form, obviously, and you've got horses which are clearly in form. But all I'm thinking of here is a way in that you can then go and look at the race in more depth and do some of those things I talked about just in the last example with Radana. You may click on the instant expert. You may look at the horse in closer focus, try and work out why they might run well today. You might look at pace, all those different things and how you'd analyse a race normally. But there we've got a decent way in, trainer form, and that's why Geegeez is so good, because it saves time and provides information and displays information in a way which you cannot find, or I'm yet to find anywhere else in such a way. So that's trainer form. Which is another easy way that you can use as a way in. And you may decide to specialise in one of these approaches I'm focusing on, or try and bring them all together and focus on horses that tick all of those boxes, and try and kind of be really focused in your betting, and with any luck, touch wood, do well over time. What I'm going to focus on here as I tick round to 15 minutes, the 2:30 in Nottingham today, I want to focus on hot form and these trainer icons. So if I just minimize this page here a bit, hold on, let me just get this open here. You can hopefully see these reports up here. So as well as these race cards, there are all these different stats reports: hot form, horses for courses, head to head, trainer stats, jockey stats, trainer jockey combo, trainer in a handicap for the first time, trainer chain, so horses running for the trainer for the first time, 2-year-old first start, sire snippets, trainer snippets. You've got all those different stats reports angles. So actually, if you like just using, you can use all of those as a weigh-in if you want. I'm not going to go into those. I could record another video on all those different things. But essentially, you've got everything you need in these race cards, which is what I'm looking at and focusing on today. And Matt added this brilliant report angle, so you can set some parameters for win percentage, place percentage, profit, all these different things for all these different report angles you can see in front of you, and then they appear in these little red icons, in these little angle boxes. So another way in you can use is to go through a race card and focus on these horses that have all these different report angles and those that have a big number. So if I click on Dora for Archie Watson, these are the report angles for him. So trainers with his 2-year-olds having their first start, you can see his record over there for 5 years. Clearly he's only been training for the last 2, so you can see his record there. And his general stats with first starters for all ages, which you can see there, so you can make a judgment on that. We can also see that Archie Watson is in pretty decent form himself, and you can see their track form. You can see, I should say, when you click on these angles here, you can see their form for the last year and at the course for all their runners. Again, you can dig down into that. You can see again, yeah, all these John Gosden here, trainer form. Let's have a look. You can see how well he's been doing the last 14 days. I can click on each trainer and then I can dig down into him. So I've got all that 14 day. Actually, let's have a look. He's got 2-year-olds. So this is a 2-year-old. So I can click on age. I want to see how well he does at Nottingham with 2-year-olds, and you can see the stats there. They're generally pretty well backed. We've only made £1.50 profit to SP. But again, you can look at those stats there. You can look over the distance. So I've got the course and distance there. You can look at the class. I could look at the jockey. So you can see all those different ways you can dig in once you've got your starting point. I mean, it really is mesmerizing, but it's simple and it's easy. And if you specialize, then even better. What I want to focus on here is hot form. So my way in is this report angles. Hot form. Now this is again where these cards take a leap forward against anything else. I can look at the then what. So hopefully you can see that here that I'm circling here in the right hand corner. I can look at how many horses from his last run, so that Foss last run, how many horses have run since, how many have won, how many have placed. Clearly giving some kind of backup or some substance to the form of a race is vitally important to indicate the ability and the quality of the horse. And were they running in and around horses that have since come out and run really well? So I can look at Foss last here. I can dive into this maiden race and just look at the horses that have run well since. So we've got the Rafe Beckett horse, which is the one I'm looking at, finished 5th. Wasn't beaten miles, ran all right, and Beckett does well with his starters, but they can come on for the run. The horse he beat, that finished 2 lengths behind him, Fury Morrison, has since come out and run a big field Class 6 handicap of 67. So there's some substance there. Then if we look in front of him, you can see there the 2nd and the 3rd have since come out and run well. That one's run at Leicester in a kind of Class 4 novice, I think. And then we've got House of Kings. Sorry, that's the same race. You can tell I'm recording this live and I try and like to do them in just one take. Richard Hannon, that's what I'm focusing on. So he won at Sandown, 8 furlongs. And that race that he won, so he came out and won at Sandown since. And that race has since produced a winner as well. If I click on this, my computer's going a bit slow. Now he beat a horse in 4th who's since come out and won. The other 2 haven't run, so there's some substance there. And Catan, what did he do? Well, he came. Well, he then ran on the all-weather and placed, so he ran all right. So there's some substance there. Again, you can judge and put all these things in the mix. I personally don't like playing in maiden races, but I'm just using this as an example. We've then got the trainer in form. You can see there, Rafe Beckett, 10 from 32, 19 places the last 14 days. You can see he's only had 12 runners at Nottingham in the last year, and 3 have won, 6 have placed. if you wanted to, you could dig into the trainer. So I'm on the trainer stats. I want to look at his record with Richard Kingscote. Look at that. I want to look at it in non-handicaps. I want to look at it with 2-year-olds. Maybe at the course, they run 4 times unplaced. That might be a negative. All these different things that you can look at. Having that report angles and those numbers, and this time hot form as my way in. Now that's 5-2. It's a maiden race. That might be value. It might not. It's not a kind of race I would play in, but I'm only using that as an example of the hot form and the report angles, and throwing in a few of the other different things there. And of course, you can do that with handicappers. That's a great way in, looking at hot form and the way that horses that have been running well in races surrounded by subsequent winners, and that horse then might be dropping in class or running in ideal conditions, and that really gives substance. And I think that hot form is actually quite an edge at the moment, because I don't see that being discussed or easily accessible in kind of other horse racing tools or wider analysis. And you, of course, can get there at the click of a button and in faster time than people that use other tools can. So that's of interest. What was the final thing I wanted to mention is pace. So I've looked at Bangor. We're getting into the jump season, focusing on or finding horses that you think may make all or get an easy lead on the front end in any race. Actually, that's important. But jumps in particular, chasing or hurdles, if you think there might be a lone front runner, that's another decent way in. You clearly can't, well, sometimes in certain tracks and certain course and distances, you can just back lone front runners to very good profits. You can see here at Bangor, over this particular course and distance, horses that have led have done okay. Actually, those in mid-division haven't done too bad either. But I've got these pace tabs down here. So for each horse, if a horse led, they get a number 4. If they would track the leaders, they get a number 3. If they were prominent kind of midfield, sat just behind the pace, number 2. And if they were held up further near the back of the field, they get a number 1. And this is, we can see if their last 4 runs from their last run, second last, third last, fourth last, and I can order them in the total score. So the higher the score, the more likely they're to be near the front of the pack. I can then make a judgment of, do I think a horse is going to get an easy lead? Well, there's two. Well, Outcrop ran 58 days ago. If you go back and look at the race, he pulled hard. That was in a flat race. He's actually not, he looks rather moderate actually. You've got speed ratings to help here. He's 50-1. I doubt they will blast off in front, and even if they do, he might start going backwards, kind of a circuit in. But it looks like if Donald McCain, he's got this horse for the first time actually, it's his first run for the yard, but if they keep to his tactics of his last 2 runs, they will try and be aggressive, and McCain and Hughes, they like to be, and McCain and Kennedy like to be aggressive on their horses. So Quids in looks a likely pace angle in this. And then you can go back and look at the race and everything else, yard in form. How does McCain do with horses that he runs for the first time? Well, not a brilliant record, actually. You can then look at his record of horses running after a break of 60 days or more. You can dig into that. You can dig into that as I tick around the 23 minutes. I can look at his record with horses after 60 days. I can look at handicaps. I can look at handicap hurdles. I can look at the course. So his overall record's not great, is it? Let's look at that. -61 to betting £1. But actually at Bangor, 4 from 60, 26, 6 places with handicap hurdles of 60 days or more. That's decent. That wouldn't necessarily put you off. Hughes has only been number 1 jockey for the last 2 months. You can look at the class, you can look at the distance, etc. But it's all about information there and weighs in. And then you might look at the instant expert and make judgments on the race. It could be argued that because there's, you can look at their step over, looks quite interesting actually. Tamarillo Grove looks interesting on the instant expert front. So you've got these different ways that you could then obviously then spend some time on this race and working out, actually, do I want to bet in it? You can use the market as a guide. There's a 2-1, quite a well fancied one. You might actually decide this race that's quite competitive. There's 2 last time out winners. There's horses, all of them pretty much are in form. So it might actually be hard enough for Quids in to make all, and you might judge that 4-1 isn't a bigger price, for example. But as I said, this is all about examples and just those 4 or 5 ways I've highlighted there that you can use the excellent Geegeez Gold and the race cards, and just stay within the race cards to go through and look at those 4 or 5 ways as a way in before then looking at the horse and the race in a bit more depth if you want, and coming to a judgment. And of course, you can wrap up all of those 5 kind of areas I've just discussed in one and have quite a high threshold if you want, if you're deciding what, excuse me, you may wish to bet on or not. So that's that. It's 25 minutes. This is probably about 10-12 minutes longer than I wanted to be, but that's as quick as I could do it, actually. And hopefully you've found some of that useful, and that's brought some of Geegeez Gold to life, so that when you are bombarded with more emails tomorrow, including from me, apologies, you can have an idea of how someone like me tries to use this race card. I know one of my members is a Geegeez Gold fan, or I know a few of them are, and use it as well. He is blowing everyone out the water with his own tipping at the moment. In my members club, he tips horses mainly to 1 point each way, and just in 2018, he's 430 odd points in profit. 4.5 grand or so to kind of £10 point bets. It's all a bit silly. We're all quite enjoying following him. But the point there is he's a big Geegeez Gold user, and that I know has helped, as well as him developing, as we all do, our skills over time when looking at racing, which Geegeez Gold, by the way, helps you do, because it helps you think about the racing in a completely different way. But he has mastered kind of how to use this set of tools to great effect. And that is just evidence of what is possible. And every one of you watching this over time has the ability to become so much more clued up and more of an expert with horse racing. I certainly do, and need to work even harder. But with these tools, there is no excuse, really, in my mind, to fail long term at winning on horse racing. So I hope when the offers kind of flood your inbox tomorrow, and the special offer for the winter package and various different other things, that you may be tempted to have a trial, to have a go, and to see over the next kind of 6-7 months if you can make Geegeez Gold, the best racing tools in the business, work for you. But if not, hopefully you've actually found something useful from that video about the different ways that you can look at racing more generally, whether you use the racing post at the races or whatever, as different ways in. And of course, to finish up and to wrap up, there's that free, if you've got no interest, but I hope some of you will, in trialing Gold, but if you've got no interest, there's that free link now that's below this video where you can get the TTS qualifiers for free. Start betting £2, start betting £2.50. Hopefully by the end of the jump season you'll have made enough money to not only try Gold again, or try Gold for the first time, but have some money to spend on a holiday or some nice meals out, or whatever you like spending your horse racing winnings on. So that's that. Thanks for watching. Hope you found that useful. This is Josh saying enjoy the rest of your day. Happy punting. Thanks for watching. And until the next time, bye for now.